I've returned to McBride Springs to do the update on what I have found out since I posted Mount Shasta Revelation. This morning I went to visit the Forest Service and spoke to a lovely woman who was in the visitor center. I asked her straight out. I was up at McBride Springs, and right next door on the boundary line, it has been cleared. Can you tell me what has been happening? She proceeded to tell me they're doing fire protection, and there's an infestation of some cedar beetle or some particular beetle infestation, and they're taking the trees that are causing those problems and having to, so that they don't spread. And I went, no, that is not what I know they're doing that. I've seen what they do. I'm seeing what they're doing with the fire protection and thinning out the undergrowth and thinning out the trees. I understand that. I saw that. This was pretty much basically a clear cut. And she said the Forest Service and the logging companies have contracts, and the logging companies can buy swaths or blocks of land for the trees. And in that agreement also is that they clear out diseased trees and the underbrush and what is required for the fire protection and fire management. And in the agreement, they also have a stipulation that they are allowed to take, and I think she said 40% of good growth trees that they can use for product and sale. I got it. I understood. I said, that's why they took trees 124 years old plus. And she nodded and sort of smiled and acknowledged that's why. And she said, it is happening all over California. I said, it's happening all over the country. I said, I understand the fire. And she talked about the wildfires. And I went, they are not wildfires. I've grown up and I know what wildfires are. These are not. These are coming and started from somewhere else. And I pointed up in the sky, even though we're inside. And I said, I believe that they are many are begun by direct energy weapons. And in a hesitant nod, it was, and that was enough acknowledgement. I said, you've heard this before, and she nodded again. I said, I'm not the only one who comes in and questions what they're doing. And she nods again. I thanked her very kindly for her openness and generosity of information and for my understanding. During the next few hours, I was pondering, and I got back to the house, was reminded of a trip that my husband, my former husband, and I took to Haiti and the Dominican Republic back in 1996, 97. He was a Presbyterian minister. He's now passed. And we were serving churches in the South, Midwest. And by some amazingly God instance, he and I were invited to be part of a group of 18 people going down 2 years after the fall of the dictator regime of Duvaliers and installation of the first democratically voted prime minister in Haiti. And it was under the umbrella of the International Missions Department of the Presbyterian Church, coming out of Louisville, but it also encompassed a lot of other denominations that pooled their mission resources into a big pot, and they all had were able to benefit from the bigger pot in what their missions were and what their projects were. So we, as a group, went down a week in Haiti and a week in the Dominican Republic. And it was one of the most incredibly intense 2 weeks I've ever lived, because it was literally fact-finding. We covered everywhere. We started off with tea in the palace of the president of Haiti, and our guide shared with us after the experience, and when we got in the bus, we said, "What is wrong, Lionel?" During the Duvalier brutalities, I was imprisoned in the dungeon of that very palace. And it was through Amnesty International that I was saved and released. And I was taken to the United States and given safety and sanctuary there. A beautiful, beautiful man. So that set the stage for, oh my gosh, the contradictions in life and the real stories that are what Haiti, especially what Haiti is about. We visited Mother Teresa's orphanage for AIDS babies, and I had no problem, my husband and I had no problem holding the babies. And when the others wouldn't touch, "Oh, I might get AIDS." It's like, "Oh my, please, please, please." That's the compassion coming out, and it's like we're protected by that amazing light. We went to Sweat Fact that put on a great show and a great story. And this particular one made bras. And when we saw the labels in the office, very proudly displayed of their samples, it was very easy to see JCPenney, Kmart, Walmart, Calvin Klein, Ralph Lauren, on 2 or 3 different variations of the same bra. These were the labels. This is the factory that they made them in. Came to find out later that the manager said, "Oh, we've given them the day off. It's one of their days off." We came to find out that in 2 massive, massive warehouses behind, when two of the group decided to have a smoke and opened a door and saw this massive, massive warehouse of hundreds and hundreds of sewing machines with hundreds and hundreds of women sitting behind it in the dark without the air on. They had turned everything off so we wouldn't know that they were lying. We visited with priests that had been excommunicated because they argued and questioned why the church was siding with the Duvaliers, siding with the bad guys. And it was whoever has the most money will side with. And many a priest were executed, were excommunicated, and were ostracized for that. And we met some that were actually said, "That's it, we're going to go and do our own thing," and they did, and that's what we were there for. And it was remarkable. Schools, doctors, hospitals, everything, all the NGOs, so many places. And then in one of the days, we were taken up into the mountains to visit villages and see how they built their schools, how they helped with their water supply, what they did to keep it pure, all of the projects that they initiated, and with minimal funding. But what funding came was through the auspices of the missions department, and that's why we were there. They were given very small grants, but it was amazing what they could do with them. So we went to many villages up in that way, and we talked with many of people. And we came across one village with a mission to reforest the mountain. And this gentleman, through Lionel, his interpretation and what I could understand with my French, he described back in as early as the 1600s, the French, which means all of the Louis kings, the French, the English, from the early 1600s all the way through until there was not a stick of mahogany left on the mountain. Back a couple of hundred years ago, Haiti was known for having the world's largest and most healthy mahogany forests. And over time, over these years, the logging, in order to build and supply the mahogany for furniture and palaces and buildings and commerce through France and through England most specifically. And the mountains were stripped. They didn't do that in the Dominican Republic. It's like there's a line. Haiti was targeted because there was something in the soil, something in the environment, that on that particular side of that mountain, those mountains, the mahogany was the best quality. And so the reforestation that beginning and had started was taking trees that were a type of tree that was fast growing, but it was also a good quality wood that could be used. It would be sustainable. And it was a good quality wood that could be used in 3, 4, 5 years for other things, and they keep planting and they keep planting. And he asked us to look at this one little point in the distance on the mountain. We actually had some binoculars, thank goodness. With the naked eye, it was like, are you kidding? And you could see like a mini square of probably 8 feet. And indeed, there were small saplings planted there. And there were some men over there tending to them. He said, through the interpreter, the way you look at the mountains and the forest is in this great big expanse of everything, and you see everything you see in front of you. How we look at it in Haiti is one tiny tree growing. That was very profound, and it stuck with me a great deal, along with so many other things that I experienced within those amazing journeys. And so this is a segue into the responsibility, the consequences of logging that is for profit, that has no boundaries, so to speak, on what and how things are taken, and the land is just left barren. Some reforest, and in the 50s there was a reforesting of lower parts of the mountain here, and now since the 50s, those trees have grown and they are also getting diseases. They are being thinned, they are being cut. And in a few places you see new growth, but not very many. And so for all of those who watched this video, the previous video, and then read the comments and then heard the emotional connection I have, we also need to pay attention to all of these details, to the landscape around us, to the inadvertent or deliberate destruction of the landscape for profit, for the sheer need or desire to get rid of nature. I find it so hard to believe that some people do not even like nature. It's like they are so counter to nature. It's like, and you are supposed to be a living being without the trees, without the land and the organisms that grow and breathe through and clear and do all of the wonderful things that the land does. This is nuts. This is nuts. So we as a humanity, as people of consciousness, as people who care, you go riding your bikes and walking and hiking and climbing in these magnificent, you tour the world to climb mountains, you tour the world to do amazing things. And the land is what draws you. The land is what drew me. And I didn't even know where Mount Shasta was at the time. But it was the land that was calling. Everywhere it's the land. Because it's Mother Earth. We are birthed through that. So if you end up having a voice, if you can question the people who are destroying or you taking away or in whatever way sit. And my thought was with the loggers, okay, they have a contract to take. Perhaps there should be an addendum in their contracts that they should be replanting the equal amount of saplings as the ones that they take, so that future generations and the land will have a regeneration that will support the environment that has so badly, badly been abused. Thank you. Sat Nam. Namaste. And in gratitude of all who listen and love the earth that we walk, no matter what continent, no matter what country, no matter where. It is an amazing, amazing privilege to walk on green grass, on parks, smell air, see trees. Thank you.